It's now been a few years since the FAA has started to require people to have commercial drone licenses if they're using their drones commercially in any way. And commercial, as you probably know, doesn't just mean that you're hired by like a giant company and you're making tons of money. It basically means if you're getting something in exchange for using your drone, that's commercial use. So if you're putting a drone clip into a YouTube video and you have ads turned on for that video, that's commercial drone use. If your friend is a realtor and they say, hey, I'll take you out to dinner if you get some drone shots of this listing that I have, that's commercial drone use. So in reality, anything beyond the most basic hobby level of drone use is commercial, and you should have your Part 107 commercial drone pilot's license. Once you have your license, it is only good for 2 years. So after the end of the 24th month, you need to renew your license, which means that if you originally got your license on July 10th, 2018, it is good all the way through July 30th of 2020. Now, the first video that I ever uploaded for this channel was all about how to pass Part 107. So if you've never taken the test and you don't have your drone license, go watch that video because that's gonna give you everything that you need to know and point you in the right direction to pass that test. This video assumes that you've already got your drone license and now you just need to renew it by taking the Unmanned General Recurrent test. The renewal process is actually pretty simple. Basically, you just need to take and pass the Unmanned General Recurrent test. It does cost $150, just like the original test did. It's shorter, it's only 40 questions, and you have 90 minutes to finish those 40 questions. You do need to pass with an 80%, which is 32 questions correct. Fortunately, since you've already taken and passed the first test, this one is not any more difficult than that. It's a lot of the same information, and they've actually removed some sections. For example, weather is pretty much totally gone, so you don't really need to know anything about like the METAR reports and how to read all of those codes. So here's the 3 things that you need to do in order to pass your recurrent drone exam. The first one is watch and rewatch and listen to and re-listen to Tony Northrup's Part 107 video. This was one of the biggest resources in my original drone video, and it's still pretty much one of the best. It's almost 2 hours long, and in that video, Tony takes you through every single part of the test. He explains it in detail, and the best part about that video is that he actually explains the why behind those things. So he doesn't just tell you this and this and this, he explains why. You can't watch it just once, so you might want to sit down and watch it over an evening and then like have it play in your car and listen to it when you're driving, have it in your earbuds at the gym or something. Just like keep that info going into your brain. Just listen and re-listen to that video. Once you've watched Tony's video and you have all that info, the next thing that you need is the Remote Pilot app for your phone or your tablet. This is a $5 app, so this is the only extra money that you would need to pay. This video is not sponsored. I just use this on both of my tests, the first one and the recurrent one. So for $5, you get an app that has an updated database of all the practice questions for both tests, the original and the recurrent. And each test has 2 parts, a study guide and a practice test. If you go through the study guide, you can browse questions in all of the different categories. And that's really what I recommend, is that you go through the entire study guide for the recurrent exam. It's almost 200 questions, but my favorite part about the app is when you go through each question and you select your answer, whether it's right or wrong, the app will tell you why the correct answer is the correct answer. Once you go through the study guide at least once, then start taking the practice exams. They work the same way as the real exam, where there's a whole bank of questions and each practice exam just kind of pulls a random assortment of those questions. And that's the same way the real test works. No 2 are exactly the same. They're just a random assortment of questions from this database of test questions. And then what you need to do is just keep taking and retaking the practice tests until you're consistently scoring 100%. And not just that you're scoring 100%, but you understand why you're choosing the answers that you're choosing. Because at a certain point, you might start recognizing a question, but that's not gonna help you on the real test because for the most part, it's not the exact same questions on the real test. So you don't wanna just memorize this specific question and answer. You wanna understand the scenario and what they're looking for in regards regards to that scenario. And then step 3, once you're consistently scoring 100% on the practice tests, now just like before, you need to call and register for your recurrent exam. I'll put a link down in the description that has all the information you need. It's all through PSI. You just find the closest testing center to you, and then you can call a number. Some you have to call and schedule through like an 800 number, and others you have to call the testing center directly. But the best thing to do is to start by just calling the 800 number, ask them about the testing center that you want, and then they'll tell you if you need to call directly or you can just book the test right then. You'll need to pay over the phone, so that way when you go to actually take your test, you just walk in and take the test. You don't need to worry about payment or anything like that. And the test procedure is the same as before. They don't let you take anything into the room. They do provide you with scratch paper. They give you a test booklet that has all the diagrams and all the reference material into it. And that booklet also does have the chart legend at the very front of it. So make sure if you're confused about airspace classifications or you don't remember what this symbol means on a sectional chart, that you go to the front of that book and look at the legend, so that way you don't have to keep all that stuff in your brain. You can just reference it right there, and it kind of makes things a little bit easier. There is a built-in calculator in the testing software if you need to do any basic math. I didn't during my test, but you might need to, or you might want to double check something just to be sure. So those are the 3 things that you need in order to pass the test. Watch Tony's video, use the remote pilot app, and then register for the test. But based on my experience, what I can tell you is I passed my first test with a 93%, and I was really happy with that. I passed this test with an 83%, and I was not as happy with that, which is why I kind of wanted to make this video. Ultimately, your score doesn't matter because it's a pass-fail test. So as long as you get above 80%, you're good to go. But you really don't want to fail the test, because if you have to retake it, then you have to pay the $150 again. And the reason that I did what I consider poorly on the test is because when I sat down, I immediately went through and did the tough questions. So I found everything that I struggle with and focused on those and answered those. And then I went through and answered the easier questions. And I was a little too confident in the easier questions, because it ended up, I got all of the tough ones right, but the ones that I missed were all these little easy ones that I just, missed a word, or I didn't quite pay attention to what they were looking for. There's 2 answers that seem kind of similar, but really only one fits the question. So the best bit of advice I can give is to really make sure you understand the question on the test. Really look at it and understand what exactly they're asking for and which answer fits that, because there is only one answer that actually fits what the question is asking. And then I was in a hurry because I was super excited. We were going out of town on a trip, and I was like, yay, I just want to be done. But what I should have done, and there was plenty of time for it, is gone through and rechecked every single question on the test. I only rechecked the difficult ones, and I should have just taken the extra time and gone through every single question, and I probably would have found and fixed some of my mistakes. And that's really all there is to it. You've already gone through the first test, which is really the scarier one because it's the first time that you're taking it. This one is much more of a refresher. It's not super scary, just knowing this info is good. As soon as you're finished with the test, there's nothing else you need to do. They'll give you a certificate, and then you just keep using your original license the same as before. You don't need to go online and update any databases or anything like that. You're good for another 24 months. And during that 24 months, I do just want to remind and encourage everybody to actually follow the rules of the test that you just took. There have been, in the past 2 years since I got my original license, so many more drone laws and restrictions have come into play, and people are starting to crack down a lot on drone usage. And I think that it's really important as a licensed pilot that you follow the rules, but you also act as a good ambassador for anybody who's interested in drones, so that way people aren't scared and angry at drones. They're interested and happy about drones, and you can be the ambassador for making sure that we can all continue to use these really awesome tools. One last tip is I would really recommend, if you haven't done it already, add your Part 107 certification to your resume or your website or your portfolio or whatever it is where people find out about your professional skills and background, because it is a really marketable skill and a really marketable certification to have. Don't be scared to let people know that you are a licensed drone pilot. I hope this was a helpful guide. I would wish you good luck, but just like I said in my very first video, If you follow these steps, you really don't need any good luck because you're gonna pass and you're super prepared. And I really hope this helps you pass the Unmanned General Recurrent Part 107 Drone Recertification exam.